Good evening, everyone. Let's begin tonight's meeting. I'd like to say welcome to city management, department heads, city staff, members of the public who have joined tonight's meeting. We're glad to have you all here. Thank you for being here. And commissioners, welcome to tonight's meeting. Commissioner Elliott is going to lead us in a prayer, and immediately following that, we'll honor our flag.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to stand before you and to serve this great city of Clovis. Thank you so much for our team of people that just do such a great job for the city, and things work very, very smooth, and we just thank you for that. Pray for our first responders, our police, our firemen. Pray for our precious military members that keep us safe also, Father. Keep them safe and continue to bless them in every way you can, Father. As we make decisions tonight, I pray that the decisions will be to the best of our constituents and the best for the city of Clovis. Father, thank you for the opportunity we have to serve, and thank you for Jesus and what he's done for all of us in our lives. For it's in his precious name I pray. Amen.
And join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, is a symbol of our friendship among united cultures. This meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Wood?
Here.
Commissioner Madrid? Commissioner Casals? Here. Commissioner Elliott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Garza?
Here.
Commissioner Render?
Here.
Commissioner Rowley? Here. Mayor Morris?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Next, we have the approval of tonight's agenda. Commissioners, you've had the opportunity to review the agenda. Do we have any recommendations for rearrangements or removals?
Mayor, I ask that we remove item 2 and 5 off our consent agenda and put under new business.
Commissioner
Okay.
Rowley? Here. Mayor Morris?
Thank you for that, Commissioner. We will, next we have the approval of tonight's agenda. Commissioners, you've had the opportunity to review the agenda. Do we have any recommendations for rearrangements or removals?
Mayor, I ask that we remove item 2 and 5 off our consent agenda and put under new business. Here.
Thank you for that. Okay.
Groundhog Day. We're repeating everything again and again. Thank you.
All right. Working through the technical difficulties there. Thank you, Commissioner Rowley, for the recommendations. I believe if it's all right with you, Commissioners, we'll take number 2 from the consent agenda and we'll put that as item number 1 under adoption of resolutions and ordinances. And we will take number 5 out of consent and put that at number 1 under new business, if that's all right.
But it's okay, so I'll move for approval of those changes.
Second. We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Garza and the second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Casals?
Yes.
Commissioner Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Yes.
Commissioner Garza?
Yes.
Commissioner Render?
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Levitt?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. 7-0, the motion is carried and our agenda is approved. Next is approval of minutes. First, the minutes from the Thursday, September 3rd, 2020 meeting. Those minutes are part of your packet. I assume you've had a chance to review those. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion we approve those minutes. Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Levitt and second from Commissioner Garza. Ms. Reyes, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Yes.
Commissioner Garza?
Yes.
Commissioner Render?
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Levitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Casals?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is carried 7-0. Next is approval of the minutes from Thursday, September 10th, 2020. I assume you've had a chance to review those. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza and second from Commissioner Rowley. Could we please have a roll call vote on that, Ms. Reyes?
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Yes.
Commissioner Garza,
Yes.
Commissioner Render,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley,
Yes.
Commissioner Levitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Casals,
Yes.
Commissioner Elliott.
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried and the minutes have been approved. Next is recognition of visitors. Again, we'd like to welcome everyone who has decided to join us this evening. We look forward to hearing from you when we reach the point in the agenda that you'll be sharing with us. Next on the agenda is proclamations, awards, and presentations. And we have two pieces of business there this evening. The first is presentation of proclamation proclaiming the week of September 17 through 23rd, 2020 as Constitution Week. And do we have Ms. Nancy Ann Streisman? Please come forward. Welcome, and please share anything you would like to about this.
I just wanted to say thank you to Clovis, New Mexico, for forwarding the importance of the Constitution Week as it applies, especially in today's times. I just want to say thank you on behalf of El Portal Daughters of the American Revolution for your yearly support.
Well, thank you for what you're doing, and we appreciate you being here this evening. And I now have the honor of reading the proclamation, and then once I'm done, I'll give it to you. Whereas our founding fathers, in order to secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and their prosperity, did ordain and establish a Constitution for the United States of America, and whereas it is of the greatest importance that all citizens fully understand the provisions and principles contained in the Constitution in order to effectively support, preserve, and defend it against all enemies, and whereas it is the privilege and duty of all Americans to commemorate the 233rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuance of a proclamation by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Mike Morris, Mayor of Clovis, New Mexico, on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd, 2020 as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and to express gratitude for the privilege of being an American in a republic which functions under the oldest Constitution still in active use today. Commissioners, next we have the August 2020 Yard of the Month, and Commissioner Madrid usually does this presentation, but he's not here this evening. Ms. Burrows, are you filling in? Or is someone else filling in?
I think I may be. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. On the screen is the August 2020 Yard of the Month. This is the last month that we'll be doing that for this year. Thank you to all of the people who have selected, nominated homes to be considered for the Yard of the Month, and to the Commission for all your efforts in going out and looking at the buildings and making recommendations for these nominations. So for August of 2020, we have for District 1, 2108 Enloe, that's Pedro and Crystal Gonzalez. And then if we could go to the next one, and then the other selection for District 1, which was Commissioner Lovett and Commissioner Garza, is 4321 Springwood, Jennifer Urban. And then for District 2, we have for Commissioner Elliott and Commissioner Rowley, we have 1313 Stratford, which was Brandy Thomas. And then we have 700 West 20th Street, which is Joanne Rubio. And then District 3, which is Commissioner Casals and Commissioner Madrid. Oh, sorry. Oh, we had a business. So we also had 1001 York, all care assistant living for the District 2 business of the month. Thank you. And then for District 3, which is Commissioner Casals and Commissioner Madrid, we have 133 Yale, Kenneth Barnes. And 1220 Dale, which is Joseph Cordova. And then for the business, they have 1900 Thornton, which is the Clovis High School. Thank you. And then District 4, we have 3021 Main Street, which is Larry Landreth. And then 1706 East 21st Street, which is Mark Waters. And then for their business, we had 2400 Norris Street, which is Zia Elementary. And then, so tomorrow morning, I believe, Mayor, you and Commissioner Madrid are going to go out with Ms. Reyes to put out the yard signs for the Yard of the Month.
That is correct, yes.
And take out the goodie bags to everybody who's won. So thank you for doing that tomorrow morning, taking photographs, and we'll get them up on the city's website. So, and thank you to our partners who help. Burns Hardware been involved in this. I know Lowe's have helped. New Mexico Clean and Beautiful help with that too. And we are actually scheduling our cleanup, our annual cleanup. I think it's for the 24th of October. So we'd like to invite the public to participate in that. And if they would contact our Parks and Recreation Department and speak with Tabitha Lineberger, that's the next piece of our New Mexico Clean and Beautiful grant, which helps to fund all of these programs for the beautification. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Burrows. Appreciate that very much. Next in the agenda, Commissioners, where are we? Forgive me. Receipts of petitions and communications. And we have a couple of planned presentations there this evening. The first is Curry Resident Senior Meals Association update from Ms. Ashley White. Good evening, Ms. White.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, I would like to let you know we have paid our debt in full. We thank you for your patience in allowing us to pay the city back. We do ask for the bank account to be closed.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Huwal.
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, I'd just like to thank Ashley and the wonderful work that she's done with Charisma and their board for being proactive and working with the city of Clovis to be a good partner and to fully pay the city back. Obviously, we were assisting them at a time in which they needed assistance to be able to continue with the senior meals program. And I think it was a great partnership and shows what we can do for our citizens when our organizations work together. So once again, I'd like to thank Ashley for her leadership and as well as her board. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, and I agree. And thank you for the wonderful work that your organization has done over the last several months to continue delivering meals.
Yes, we have a great team that they're amazing. And so now we started a 4th route yesterday. And so we're doing about 170 houses a day in delivery.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so
Well,
we're busy.
Yes, you are. Thank you for that wonderful work. Please pass along our thanks to everyone.
Of course, thank you.
And Mayor, in regards to the kitchen improvement as well, I mean, we were notified today that we received a community development block grant for the amount of $750,000 to go towards the construction of the new senior services facility, which in the future will house Charisma as well as our senior services. So the next step in this process is obviously the bond that will be voted on by our citizens in November as part of the state's election process. And should that pass, then that will give us the funds to build the first phase of the senior services building out located at Hillcrest, which is south of the Aquatic Center. So hopefully we'll have them in a new home to continue on with their business here in the next couple of years.
That is great news, Mr. Howell. Thank you for sharing that with us on the grant. Next, we have a housing report from the current president of the Board of Realtors and former mayor, Gayla Brumfield. It's good to see you.
Good evening. It's good to see you guys. Mayor Pro Tem, which, first, that sounds so good, and commissioners. I'm really happy to be here, and I thank you for the opportunity that I can come. I am the president of the Clovis-Carver Board of Realtors, and I think that you have probably seen around town kind of a little bit of the activity that's going on with real estate. You've probably seen more sold signs than you have in probably the last 3 years. And we were all really concerned when COVID hit because how are we going to show houses, how do we do open houses, things like that. But what has happened is totally the opposite. And we've done a lot of different things. We haven't had open houses. We do virtual tours. We actually today I had a realtor go over and do a tour of a house that she will send to a person that's overseas. And we even have people buying homes that have not seen them, but they're doing all of the virtual things. So there's a lot of things that we're doing that has really, COVID has kind of, I guess, made us be a little bit more technical, and it's really working out. But before, I would like to just kind of tell you a little bit about some of the stats. And this is for Clovis, but it's also for New Mexico and for really the nation. And if you know any lenders, Leo can absolutely attest to this. Lenders and title companies, they are absolutely swamped in Clovis and across the country. But for New Mexico, the trend is upward, absolutely. In fact, the higher median prices and a robust market are good news for sellers. The New Mexico Board has heard reports from members that multiple offers are becoming more and more common. However, buyers, while still benefiting from the mortgage rates, are facing limited choices and a little bit of rising prices. We have seen that here in Clovis, but really what happened over the last probably 3 to 4 years, we had prices that did, go down. We saw about a 10% drop in prices before this year. And so we are really, as far as prices goes, we're pretty much on track. But just to give you a little bit of Clovis's stats, year to date, January 1 through September 17 of 19, so this is last year, for the same time frame, there were an average of 29 homes that closed. This year, through January 1st through the same date, there's been an average of 49 homes to close. So that's a 20 home increase per month. March through the under contracts, this is what's really interesting because we only have 159 listings in our inventory. Now this is just for Clovis. I didn't put Portales into the mix. But you guys, that's the lowest that I've ever seen it. And I've been doing this since I was 8 years old when I got my license back in the 70s. So, I mean, it's amazing. Seriously, back when I joined the board in 1978, and we averaged 500 homes on the market all the time. And to see 159, and then the next stat is our under contracts, our pending sales is 133. So we don't have much of an inventory. If you look at it, we have about a 2.5 month inventory. which is unbelievable. And as far as like the New Mexico realtors announced that there are multiple offers, we have seen that as well. And I had a client that has looked at a couple of houses, and by the time we get our offer in there, and we do it fast, it already has, 2 more offers on it. That's not all the houses, but if it's in good shape and it's, priced right, it's gonna sell. So the trend is absolutely going up. And the prices, though, have stayed, our average price for year-to-date for last year was $168,000. That's the average price. That's what the listings that were sold. Our average price for this year is up $100,000 to $181,000. So it has been an increase. And that's our average price. Now, New Mexico's average price is $250,000. But that puts in Santa Fe, and then, which really kind of skewers some of the stats. But that's what the average price is in New Mexico. And you might kind of wonder what's driving this. And I sure did. And so we've been doing a lot of research on it. And there's several things that I think that has kind of driven this. If you've read any articles at all about people that, they've been cooped up in their houses, so it goes both ways. Sometimes they feel like they're with their family constantly, and so they want a bigger place. And a lot of them have seen that they can work remotely, and it's worked out. So we're seeing people that want to get a bigger house with an office. And so I kind of think the tiny house trend there may be on the way out, unless there's a family member that's sick of their family and wants to just go be by themselves in a tiny house. But we've seen a lot of change, with the way people think. And then I think you're going to see people, and if you've read any articles about this, move out of larger cities to come, and they're moving out of cities to go more rural. And I think you're going to see that benefit New Mexico as well as Clovis, and we have been seeing that. So, and I did just a little figuring on the interest rate. When I first got into the business, remember I told you we had 500 houses average, and the interest rate was 9 3/4. And then it went up. If some of you are old enough to remember that it went up all the way to 18 and 20%. But when I got into business at 9 3/4, that was a good rate. Today, the closings that I've had recently, I've been closing them out VA loans at 2.5%. 2.375, but I used a 2 3/4. So I want to tell you the difference on a $200,000 loan on a 9 3/4 payment versus a 2 3/4 payment. It's $900 a month in savings. So over the 30-year time frame, that's $325,000 about that you're going to save. So that's a huge driver in this, is the interest rates. And as long as the interest rates stay low, you're going to see this market continue. And, I used to think 6 was so cheap. And now that we have under 3, it's really just been, unbelievable. The trend for Clovis is definitely up. We see a lot of military. Probably most of our sales are military. Most of our loans are VA. And we see that coming in. I worked with the pilot. That's a CD-22 pilot. And we all know that there's a lot of them coming over. And I think they're starting to come now. And so that's going to drive our market. And then the hurricanes that's been hitting the panhandle of Florida, I personally think that will benefit Cannon Air Force Base. I hate it for them, but it may be good for us in the long run. That's one of the reasons I think they put special ops here anyway. And so I see the base continuing to grow. As far as commercial real estate, we have been it's been good, and there's a couple of things that I think will be coming and announced pretty soon that you're going to like. And but the commercial real estate is trending to keep going and keep on an upward trend. And I know we've been working with some national retailers that are looking at coming in. But I want to thank you, Mayor, for your stance on the LEDA money, because I think that will really help. And commissioners, I appreciate you supporting that, because I think it's huge to help our retail. We need the mall. We all went together to try to keep Dillard's. I did it selfishly because I love shopping there, and didn't work. But I truly believe, though, that the mall, through all of our efforts, and with you, Mayor, leading the charge, that they know that we want business, and we're going to help them. And so I appreciate what you guys have done on maybe trying to get some incentives for retail. So that will definitely help real estate and everything. With real estate, I wanted to just point out, I asked the mayor before the meeting if the ghost receipts were hanging in there, and he said, yes, actually, it's been pretty good. I will tell you, one of the drivers for that's real estate, because we're only one of 2 states that realtors commissions we have to pay, the seller pays it, but it's gross receipts tax. And when you figure out all of what that has produced, it's probably close to over $800,000 that goes to the state. And so just that one thing, and that's not counting the housing and the other things that they go to Lowe's and they spend money to fix it up or whatever. Our new homes are starting to come on. We're still, we have, I believe, last year we only sold 13 total new homes. This year it's up. We're up to 18, and there will be more coming on. There's more building. You guys approved a subdivision not that long ago, so I think you'll be seeing a lot more new building. And when new building happens and homes sell, the dollar turns 7 times in the community. One of the things that we realtors do is we're some of the first people that that the people see coming into Clovis, so we try to sell Clovis. And my only maybe tiny bit negative for tonight is there's some areas that we could sure clean up, and I know that you all know that. And I appreciate the handling of the MRA that I believe is going to help some areas. And just a thought, if you go to Mignonnet and Prince and you drive north and on both sides, that's really a blighted area. And so I don't know if you can do an MRA or an enterprise zone. I really think we could get some commercial in there if we could figure out a way maybe to give some incentives. And I know private property rights, we realtors support that tremendously, but if we could find some kind of a benefit for the seller and the city and the community, because I work with a lot of the new physicians that are potentially coming to town, and we have to give them the tours. And we all love Clovis, and we but sometimes take your Clovis that we love Clovis hats off and drive around. And I know, Commissioner Casals, that you think this, but the realtors will help you in any way. We would support any initiative, and we'll be behind you 100% of the way if we could do that. Really, that's basically it. But before I finish, I would like to congratulate you, Mayor. I haven't publicly got to congratulate you, and I know what it's like sitting up there, and except I don't know what it's like sitting up there during this time. And you have been a tremendous leader, and I think you've led the city well on what we need to expect and do with COVID. And it's been, I seriously had you in my prayers and thoughts, because I thought I had it rough. I think you have it worse. So, but you've done a great job, and I just appreciate the commission and all that you guys do, because I know it's a tough job. But anyway, with that, do you guys have any questions or anything did I go over everything well enough?
I just appreciate you coming today and let us know how the market is doing. And
Well, thank you.
That. I think it's wonderful news to have, that you guys are doing great. And let's hope that we improve a little more than
Right.
we have.
Thank you.
And as long as cleaning up Clovis, I think we've been working on it. We've
You
been
guys
talking
have.
about it within the group here, so things are going to improve.
Good.
Hopefully.
Well, and like I said, we will help you, because the realtors really we'll take an initiative to do. We can, whatever you need us to do, we're there. And like I said, we appreciate everything that you do. Like I said, we meet the people when they first come into town, but if we have a commercial building or something that wants to come in, I always brag about the city of Clovis, because it's the best permitting, the easiest permitting that they will ever have. And I will tell you that they will tell you that. So that's a compliment to you guys and to the staff, and we appreciate that. We appreciate you working with the Board of Realtors. So, any other questions?
Again, I do have a question. I
Okay.
appreciate your presentation. How's this affecting rentals? I mean, I'm
Oh,
sure
good.
people that are renting are trying to buy due to the interest rate. So how's that affecting the rental?
Okay, this is going to be shocking, because I couldn't believe it. The rentals are almost full. I mean, it's amazing. The Colonial Property Management manages almost 450, and we have about 7 that's available. They're not available yet. And when I talked to Wes with RE/MAX and Robin with Southwest and all the others, it's the same thing. we don't really totally understand that because people are buying, their payment is so much cheaper. When I figured this $200,000 payment, their principal and interest payment was just $800. I closed on a $300,000 house the other day, a VA guy, and his payment, total payment, everything, is $1,500. Well, you can't rent for that, you know, but the rentals are full. I mean, they're really doing well. I mean, everybody that I've talked to.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you, Delia. I think that was an excellent report, and keep selling.
All right, we will. I didn't do a PowerPoint because I thought it'd be boring, plus I don't know how. So.
Well, Ms. Brumfield, thank you so much for telling us about what's going on in real estate and in our local market, and thank you for your kind words and your encouragement as well.
All right, well, it's all good news, so.
Thank you for that. Commission, with everyone's permission, we're going to take a short recess, and they're going to reboot the sound system. It's aggravating me, so it must be irritating to other people. Let's see if we can get that static cleared up. So we're going to take a recess for 2 to 5 minutes while IT reboots that.
What did you say?
Okay, I think we're up and going again. We have a thumbs up. All right, commissioners, we'll resume the meeting, and we are still in receipts of petitions and communications, and I believe Ms. Burrows has an introduction that she would like to do.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you this evening to our new Communications, Marketing and Grants Coordinator for the City of Clovis, Ms. Kelsey Knight. Kelsey is a Clovis girl who's been away for a few years. She has a Master's in Communications from WC, and so we're really looking forward to, and she's a wonderful writer, and so we're looking forward to getting lots and lots more grants and assistance with our communications and marketing. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. Welcome to the City of Clovis. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Mayor, and just to let the commission know, we do now have 3 quotes to replace the audio and video equipment in this room. We're just now going through them to make sure that we were comparing apples, and so hopefully we'll be bringing to the commission here in the next couple of weeks an action item to replace the system itself. So, great news. Wanted to give you a quick update.
Thank you for that, Mr. Howell. Appreciate that very much. While we are still in receipts of petitions and communications, is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the commission this evening? Okay. All right. We will move on into the consent agenda. This item is placed on the agenda so that the commission by unanimous consent can designate those routine agenda items that they wish to be approved or acknowledged by one motion. If any proposal does not meet with the approval of all commission members, or if a citizen so requests, that item will be heard when reached under the regular agenda. As was discussed at the beginning of the meeting, we have made a couple of changes to the consent agenda, and I misspoke earlier, but when we approved the agenda moving item number 2 and item number 5 out of consent, and we have those now under adoption of resolutions and ordinances. So I will read the items that we have on consent. Number 1 is the motion to place the items on consent. Item number 2 is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3037-2020 relating to the conditional use of a type 2 home occupancy within North Park Edition, Block 5, Lot 8, a RS-7 residential single-family lot, 1307 Giddings Street. Item number 3 on consent is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3038-2020 relating to the conditional use of a rear accessory dwelling unit within the Foxwood Estate Unit number 1, Lot 25, Block 1, 2412 Putnam Drive, Curry County, New Mexico. Item number 4 on consent is request for approval of introduction of an ordinance relating to the vacation of alley right-of-way between Lot 5, Block 5, plat of Riata Edition, Unit number 2. Item number 5 is request for approval of adoption of an ordinance relating to the Unified Development Ordinance, amending section 17.55.010.b and creating a new section 17.55.010.c.4. Item number 6, request for approval of agreement for mutual aid in fire protection and hazardous materials incident response between Cannon Air Force Base and the Clovis Fire Department. Item number 7 is a request for approval of $10,000 from the Economic Development Tax Fund for the renewal of the GIS Planning Enterprise Service subscription for the Economic Development website hosted by CIDC. And item number 8 is request for approval of lodger's tax disbursements for September 2020. Commissioners, unless there are any questions or concerns, I would entertain a motion to place indicated items on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Garza and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. Ms. Reyes, could we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Yes.
Commissioner Garza,
Yes.
Commissioner Render,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley,
Yes.
Commissioner Levitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Casals,
Yes.
Commissioner Elliott.
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Casals, and the second came from Commissioner Render. Ms. Reyes, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Garza,
Yes.
Commissioner Render,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley,
Yes.
Commissioner Levitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Casals,
Yes.
Commissioner Elliott,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant.
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Next is introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. First there, Commissioners, we will look at the request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3034-2020, supporting the general obligation bond issue C for Clovis Community College. And I believe we have Dr. Wankwo on the line joining us virtually this evening. Welcome, Doctor.
Good evening, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. I do have a presentation. May I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner, I had wanted to be there in person, but I had a late meeting that aborted that plan. I'm here this evening to talk to you about GeoBond. And I do have this presentation. I hope everybody can see the screen.
Yes,
Hello?
Yes, sir,
Okay,
Dr.
great.
McCann.
Great. So, on November 3rd, we have a general obligation bond on the ballot. And this bond is for most institutions the only way they can raise appreciable funds to renovate their buildings and facility. And for the most instances, this bond is needed to modernize facilities for learning and studying by New Mexican students. And of course, we do need up-to-date educational facility which will encourage the best and brightest students in our state to stay and learn in our colleges and universities, thereby averting the brain drain of them moving to other states. As a matter of study, it has been shown that most students tend to settle in the states that they had studied. So it's essential to keep our young and brighter students in the states studying in our universities and colleges. Of course, you all do know that higher education is a full partner in the revitalization of the New Mexico's economy, particularly in this tough time. So as we're making plans to recover from the downturn in the economy, and of course being brought about by the pandemic, we all know that higher education will be there to train students, train the needed workforce, and be a partner in that recovery. I have been asked to emphasize this quite well, that the passage of the bond will not increase property tax. It is neither a new tax nor an increase to an existing tax. And I've also been asked to emphasize that GeoBond will bring over $156 million into construction sector. And this will create approximately 1,500 jobs and increasing the gross receipt tax income to the state and the local government. Of course, again, this leads to job growth, economic growth, training, and building the foundation for the future and the community. For us at Clovis Community College, if you've been in our campus lately, you will find that most of our parking lots are in a terrible shape. Our roofs are in a terrible shape. And of course, we do have some fire suppressant sprinkler system that we need to repair. So that money from GeoBond will help us do that. Clovis Community College is slated to receive $1,075,000 to help in renovation of this infrastructure and improve the campus-wide buildings, roofs, and parking lots. On the same bond, of course, you know, Eastern New Mexico will receive about $8 million, of which $7 million will go into the renovation and upgrade of the Roosevelt Science Center. I'm told that building was constructed in 1953 and has not had any renovation since. And about additional $1 million from that will be used to support infrastructures and so forth on that Eastern New Mexico University campus. And to reiterate, there will be no tax increase as a result of this bond, but there will be a significant benefit to the city, to the county, and the region at large. Just as a recap, I have this flyer that we've been passing out that shows what that bond will do for us. And I am told that on the ballot, you have to turn it over because item C, bond item C, issue C, is the last one on the second page. So please, if you exercising your civic duty, remember to turn that over and see what you can do on bond C. Just a quick reminder, absentee voting starts October 5th and runs through 30th, and early voting starts October 17th and runs through 31st. And of course, the election there is November 3rd. Also on the ballot will be bond B, which is for libraries. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that because library and education do go hand in hand. So with that said, that's the shortest presentation I've done in a while. I'm going to stand down for any question you may have.
Dr. Wanquo, thank you for that presentation. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for President Wanquo?
No questions here. No questions.
Dr. Wanquo, we are grateful for the wonderful work that you're doing as the president of the community college, and happy to express our support. Commissioners, do I hear a motion?
Due to that wonderful presentation from Dr. Wanquo, which I've heard twice today, I will move to approve the adoption of Resolution 3034-2020, supporting the general obligation bond issue C.
I second that.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Lovett, second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Again, Dr. Wanquo, President of Clovis Community College, thank you for joining us this evening, and we are happy to support you in this bond issue. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, commissioners.
Commissioners, next, under adoption of resolutions and ordinances, we will deal with what was number 5 in the consent agenda, but now is number 2 here, and that is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3039-2020 pertaining to the public health and safety, finding that a certain building is a dangerous building as defined by the International Building Code for the abatement of unsafe structures, authorizing abatement of such building and related debris from within the city, aka 1201 Gidding. And we will go to our new building safety director, Mr. Darren Roach.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Mr. Wilt started this, so I'm going to go ahead and let him finish this.
That's fair, Mr. Roach. That's fair, Mr. Wilt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. The residents that we're looking at here, 1201 Gidding, it has been a pain in the arm, to say the least, for our department. We've cut it numerous times. I believe his bill right now is a little bit over $1,300 to the city for mowing, and I did try to contact him. I called him on 5/4. He told me he would get it secure, which he did get it secure for a short period of time. I recalled him again the next month, and he told me he was going to get it secured again. Since he did the first time, I took his word for it, which I probably shouldn't have. Now it's open, vagrants and others are getting into it. So our request today is to get a licensed contractor to go over there and secure it securely. for hopefully a long time. So
Okay.
with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you for that, and when you say secure it securely, you're gonna make it such that the vagrants and we can't gain access to the building. Will the debris, I went by and looked at it, there's garbage off
We
the
will
porch.
secure the doors and windows completely, plywood, screws, it will be secured.
Okay.
They may even go as far as putting metal over it. Just depends on the price of whoever we can get, whoever we find to secure it.
Gotcha.
So,
And if I may, could you kind of just talk about the process? I mean, what happens once it's secured? If that property owner doesn't, come through and make the improvements necessary to the building, what are the next steps that we would take as a city?
really, since the building is structurally sound, we can't demolish it.
Okay.
It has to be a dangerous building, under compromised structural conditions where it could collapse before we demolish it. So we just basically keep securing it, keep filing liens until we put it on a tax sale or a lien sale.
Okay. You said you talked to the owner just out of curiosity. Where is the owner? Where's
Rio
the owner?
Rancho.
Okay. Not in town.
No.
Understood. Okay. Commissioners, we have some folks, members of the public, that have something that they would like to share, but do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Wilt? Commissioner Casals?
I just have one question. So the cost of securing this building will go on top of the bill he already has?
That's correct, yes. It will be a new lien filed against it, so there will be several liens that we have that are pending. And they collect interest every month, or every quarter, I should say so.
Council. So how many liens do we have to have in a home before we take over and do something about it?
Mayor, may I?
Yes,
Commissioner, we can actually foreclose with just one lien, so that we don't have to reach a certain amount in order to start foreclosure proceedings. And so we can initiate that with a $100 weed cutting lien if we wanted to. I think we would look at, and I don't know if Mr. Wilt has looked at this, but we would look at other liens that are on the property, the potential sale of the property, and the cost benefit to the city if we go ahead and go forward with foreclosure proceedings, which the city has to pay me to follow through with. And if I may, while I have the mic, Mayor, the legal standard for demolition is contained in the International Property Maintenance Code, and what it reads is that the building must be, quote, so deteriorated or dilapidated or has become so out of repair as to be dangerous, unsafe, insanitary, or otherwise unfit for human habitation or occupancy, and such that it is unreasonable to repair the structure. That's the standard we have to meet in order to demolish, and it would be a two-step process. The first step is we have to order the owner to demolish the building. If he doesn't do that within a reasonable amount of time, then the city can go ahead and demolish the building.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Render.
Mr. Wilt, did he give you any indication of what the owner was going to do with the building other than just secure it? Did he say it was for sale?
He had a gentleman, from what he told me, he had a gentleman that was taking care of it, securing it for him, and at one time he did sort of take care of it, not to our standards or our liking, but he did go in there and attempt to secure it. So I'm not sure that he really has much interest in this property anymore. So I'm not sure what his intent is going to be.
Mr. Wilt, but what our attorney says that the reasons are that we can demolish this, does any of that fall under what we can do to proceed with demolition?
No. No, basically it has to be structurally unsound, where they cannot refurbish it, rehab it, remodel it. This one
it's still structurally sound. If the right person got it, they could turn it into a reasonably nice house.
Okay, thank you for that. Members of the public that are here to talk to us about this, Mr. Metzger, would you like to begin? Mr. Metzger, we need you to, before you start, to state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Matthew Metzger. I live at 1208 Giddings Street here in Clovis, New Mexico, directly northeast or northwest of the house, about 2 houses up. We've lived in this house across the street for about 6 years. The house has become inhabitable as of the past 2 years. The basis of that is the windows are broke out, the doors have been off the hinges, there's animals crawling in and out of the windows, there's vagrants, there's also people who use that house at night to do their drugs, to do whatever they need to do. I was outside the other night and someone was outside defecating and urinating next to the porch. We have contacted with the city over calls with vagrants, with people having fires inside at night in the winter. There is a chimney, but it's not a useful fireplace. It's blocked off. We've called 2 or 3 times on that. I also called probably several times, not just me. Other neighbors in the neighborhood within surrounding houses have called over and over again. We've talked to the code enforcement about it. It seems that we are just gaining excuses. I understand this takes time. I understand this is not the only house in town that is like this. But this is our neighborhood. This is where I live. I have a 10-year-old son that I worry about all the time. I also have neighbors who have grandchildren. I also have neighbors who have children in the neighborhood. What do children like to do when they're outside? They like to go outside and explore. They also know this house is open. They also know this house is empty, and no one is taking care of it. We've heard excuses, we've heard stories, we've been told by the police and code enforcement they're going to do something about this. 2 years, I'll be willing to take $1,000 and go over there and board the house up myself if I have to. It doesn't matter. If that's what it takes to keep my neighborhood safe, to keep people out of it from doing drugs, keep people out of it from doing what they want to do that is illegal. There's even vacate signs on the building posted by the city. They get torn down, they still kick in the doors, they still crawl in through the windows. It's getting old. I don't understand why it takes so long. I don't blame anybody. I blame the bureaucracy. I blame the process of why this gets done, because people do have a right to their property, to the ownership of the property, and to take care and address the property as they see fit. But when it puts other people in danger, it does not take precedence, plain and simple. I am more concerned about that than anything else. It's also lowered the property of my value, or the value of my property, of my home. Because I tried to sell it last year, and it actually went down. People would not make an offer on the house because of the house across the street. That's sad. Well, this is supposed to have been taken care of a while back. I'm not blaming anybody. I just want something to be done to keep my family safe, to keep the kids safe, and to keep some of the elderly who are worried about this. People cut through people's yards over there from the alley behind us to get to there so they can't be seen by the police officers who are watching the house. Just had someone probably about a month and a half ago chased out of the house, and they're chasing them down the street, screaming and yelling at them. So obviously it's not fixing the problem by putting a few screws in the stinking door. Plain and simple. It gets old. I also have 2 letters from 2 other residents at 1200 and 1204 Giddings, both who are out of town this week. And I'm going to give those to Miss Raleigh here, since she's our representative. And I'll let her take care of that, and she can do what she needs to disagree with that. Okay. But I have been in contact with you guys, and I appreciate what has been done so far and the action that's going on right now. But I also there's another lady over here who would like to speak to y'all, but I appreciate you letting me address you all.
Thank you, Mr. Metzger.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am? please state your name and address.
I'm Donna Cisco. I live at 1203 and Half Gidding. My house is really close to this property. I would say maybe 8 feet from the property. I have gone through a lot with this property. Been living in my place for 4 years. I have dealt with this for a long period of time. I'm a single woman. I rent this place, but I can't even live in it because I'm concerned about my safety. I have made so many calls to the departments, the police departments, and they have came out and did so many arrests, and the people knew that I was the one that was calling, and they were, you know, they knew it was me. They knew that they wanted to bang on my house. They wanted to scare me. I had a guy pull a knife out on me. I'm just so scared. This place needs to be something done. It needs to be boarded. It needs to be demolished. It needs something. Because my house, when they do bonfires, it is so close to my house that I am scared that it's going to catch on fire. And I'm just so nervous and so anxiety of this house. And I just like the property. I like where I'm at. But I just can't live there and deal with this much longer. I have dealt with Pete for a long period of time. Thank you, Pete, for doing what you're doing for me. Me and Pete has worked on this for a while. It's a mess, and it's very, very, people, my stepchildren can't come over and play because the place is unsecured, the place is dangerous. I have trash in my yard. I have, they have thrown stuff like needles in my property. I'm a working person, so when I come home, I have to deal with this situation. And I would appreciate it if something can be done with it, and I like to see it demolished, because if you board it, I think these people will keep coming back, because these people that I had arrested kept coming back. And then when they kept coming back, I kept calling. They kept getting arrested. So they know that if the doors are closed and what windows they have, they painted over it. They just do so much in and out, people doing in and outs. I would say there's drugs. They were making meth. I had cops out there telling me this, and I'm just really frustrated. That's all I got to say, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Cisco. Thank you for what you've shared with us. We appreciate that. Did we have anyone else from the public that wanted to share on this subject? We appreciate your comments, and thank you for being here. Commissioners, obviously we're... Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Elliott.
And I think, and I appreciate Pete and Darren for what they're doing, but this is really unsafe to these folks that live close by. My way of thinking about this is board the thing up, and the expense of boarding it up and money, I guess, that's already owed on it, I think we ought to foreclose on it and get that done and let somebody put the house back together and make a livable place out of it. And from that, because this boarding it up, it doesn't make the neighborhood look good. And my son looked at the house, I think, at 1200, and he looked at it, and the lady that was showing him the house, he really liked it, but it wasn't going to work out for him. But she said, anyways, I think there's a bunch of people doing dope and all kinds of stuff over there anyway, so you probably really wouldn't want to be there. So that's not helping the neighborhood at all. So I really think it needs to be boarded up temporarily until we can get the process going and foreclose on it and get get it to where somebody can get some use out of it and make the neighborhood better.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Council, Mr. Morris, you mentioned that there's a analysis that would need to be done before we could make that decision.
Thank you, Mayor. So in this case, if I'm correct, I spoke with Mr. Roach about it, and my understanding from Mr. Wilt and Mr. Roach is there are no other liens on this property except for our lien. So it actually would be pretty simple, and I could start the process, Monday of next week and have something filed if we decided to. Of course, we would need to get a lien filed for the cost of securing it, so that may delay the process. But there is an analysis, so it would depend on, say, for example, there's a mortgage on the property, and there's other liens that could have priority over our liens. We would have to decide which liens get paid out first, what we think the expected price would fetch at auction, and then whether it's worth it for us to foreclose or not. But typically, city liens do take priority, meaning that they're the first liens that get paid.
Gotcha. Understood. Mr. Howell?
Mayor, Pro Tem, and Commissioners, it's actually been several years since the last time we actually did a lien foreclosure sale. And typically, we do multiple foreclosures at one time. And so if we are going to go through this process, I would recommend that we look at all of the liens and homes that we have liens on and see if we want to address it all at once versus doing it just for one property. Because it is a process. It's not simple.
Appreciate that. Commissioner?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I understand it's a process, but in this case, I think there should be an exception to the rule since we are dealing with several people there taking advantage of these neighbors. In my opinion, I think we need to move on and try to put a lid on this property as soon as we can, and instead of trying to bunch up another properties. And the basis of health, safety, and general welfare, I move for approval on this item.
Second. Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Garza and a second from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioner, yes, Mr. Howell.
And just for the fact is we can go in there and we can board it up, and it'll have a certain expense to it. But the reality of it is if the property owner pays for it and takes care of the payment and pays the city back, we have nothing to file a lien on. And so that is a reality that we may face as well. So hopefully the process works for us. But once again, if the property owner pays off the lien, then we don't have a standing to be able to act upon.
Appreciate that comment. Mr. Wilt, you said that we already have a lien because of expenses that we've gone to in cleaning, mowing, doing that kind of thing?
I believe we have 3 weed cutting liens on it right now.
So obviously, the expense that you go to, because and again,
it will be added on to this.
Yeah, thank you, and Mr. Roach also for the work that you're doing to get this home secured with our approval tonight. But that'll be added on. Is there communication to the owner that hey, this additional expense has been added to the bill?
We usually don't tell him. He'll get the bill.
Okay.
So we usually don't let him know that. I mean, the letters itself that we send out, they state that if they don't do it, that lien will be filed on the property.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
As soon as they're done, then they provide the information to Finance Department. We will send out the initial invoice to the property owner to let them know, and then with a note on there, I think it's 45 days. There's a period of time between the time that we send out the bill and we file the lien. And as soon as we're eligible for that time frame to pass, then we will file the lien on the property. But they will receive an invoice as soon as we have all the information and all the costs.
Okay. I have a question for Mr. Wilt. After this is approved, which I think it should be, how soon are you going to take care of this property, sir?
I will contact several contractors tomorrow, see if we can get some bids on it, and then we'll take the lowest bid and go from there. I'll make some specs out stating half-inch plywood, probably Torx head or hex head screws, so you can't just get in there with a regular Phillips screwdriver and take them out, and secure it that way.
And then it has to be painted similar to the existing structure.
Okay.
You can't just leave the bare plywood out there.
Mayor Pro Tem, you had a comment?
Mr. Wilt, has he been invoiced, the property owner, has he been invoiced for prior services that we've done on that property?
Sounds like he would have been invoiced each time there
Right,
was.
each of the weed cuts and, I mean, any services provided to the home would have been invoiced with, and a weed cut, those bills are mailed out monthly for him for the interest fees as well as the liens, and he would have been notified about the lien process.
Okay. Has he made any indication at all to pay those or to make arrangements?
He paid one, okay, I didn't look at this before I got here, so I don't know.
All right, so,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Mr. Wilt, has he been in contact with you at all?
No.
Prior to this?
No, I'm the only one that's made contact with him.
Okay.
So he has never contacted me.
Okay, thank you.
So in the interest of safety for the neighbors, for the neighborhood, I guess one thing at a time, we need to consider approving this right now so that tomorrow Mr. Wilt and Mr. Roach can get on securing that property. But then I'm of the opinion that we need to aggressively pursue foreclosure in this case, and I like the city manager's recommendation about looking at other properties that this needs to be done with as well, because we want to aggressively take care of these issues around town. And I know that this commission is supportive of doing that, and I know that the city management is supportive of taking care of these things. So let's get this. We have a motion from Commissioner Garza and a second from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioners, please vote. By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Commissioners, we'll move on in the agenda. The next item, we're still in introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances, and it is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3037-2020 to rank and adopt the 2022-2026 infrastructure capital improvement plan. Ms. Burrows and I believe Ms. Sandy Chansey, the Executive Director of Eastern Plains Council of Governments, is here for a presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. And if you wouldn't mind, we would like to change that resolution number to 3040-2020, please. I'll pass this over to Sandy Chansey, and if I may just thank Sandy Chansey for all her hard work on the CDBG grant. Thank you. Sandy.
Yes, thank you for your work on that grant and for all that you do. Thanks for being with us this evening.
It's our pleasure. It's our mission to help. So, what you have before you today is a resolution to approve your 2022 through 2026 infrastructure and capital improvements plan. This is a 5-year plan that is updated annually. It is a requirement from the state of New Mexico if you want to apply for several different grant programs, particularly capital outlay funding. City administration has gone through this plan. They have looked at the priorities and the projects. They have updated the numbers. And so I will ask you to take a good look at this, particularly the top 10 projects for 2022. And we'll stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you for that. Ms. Chansey, what questions do we have, Commissioners?
The only question I have is on the construct effluent reuse system. Since we have been awarded the money to complete that, does that need to stay on?
Once the project's completed, it will go off. So once you've expended that money and completed that project, then we will go into that system and we will mark that project complete, and it will fall off the list.
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, and with the effluent reuse project, yes, we have received Water Trust Board funding that does get us to Colonial Park Golf Course. However, we've had some bid alternates in the last two bids that we were unable to award due to the lack of funding, and so we're going to include those in this next bid package. However, there is no guarantee that we'll have enough funding to be able to complete all of the bid alternates, so that's one of the reasons it's still on the list.
Okay.
I make a recommendation we approve resolution number 3040-2020.
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Levitt and second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. And again, that is 3040-2020. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you again, Mrs.
Thank
Chancy.
you.
Appreciate you.
And we will update the senior center project to include the $750,000 we were awarded this morning.
Yep. Still so excited about that. Thanks again. All right, Commissioners, we are moving along here. We have nothing in unfinished business, so we're on to new business. And the first item there is request for approval of 45-day extension of professional contract agreement between the City of Clovis and Clovis Main Street. Ms. Burrows.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. On July the 2nd of this year, at your regular meeting, you gave a 60-day extension for the contract the City of Clovis has with the Clovis Main Street program. This work to create a new agreement still has not been completed, and the Main Street program is asking for an additional 45-day extension to accomplish this task. The fiscal impact is, of course, to continue with the existing contract, which would be $4,374.90 coming from Fund 77 cash reserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Commissioner Rowley. Commissioners, please vote. By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Next item is request for approval of task order with Molson Corbin to conduct hydrologic and hydraulic modeling and prepare a letter of map revision to submit to FEMA. Mr. Howell.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. The City of Clovis participates in the National Flood Insurance Program, which produces the National Flood Insurance Rate Maps, which is administered by FEMA. Our maps have not been updated since 2013, and over the last 7 years, the city has continued to make improvements to our drainage systems, as well as modeling techniques have changed throughout the years, as well as the way that FEMA considers playas in the models. I have this evening on the phone with us Kent Fryer with Molson Corbin, as well as Ken Easterling with Stantec, and they've been patient enough to wait for us and to wait for this agenda item. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what is proposed before you this evening. So Kent, if you'd like to take over, you may have to press *6 to unmute your phone.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank God. I've been nervous for an hour here, hoping that it would work when we have the chance. So for the record, my name is Kent Fryer. I'm an engineer with Molson Corbin. And speaking next will be Ken Easterling with Stantec. What we have before us here is, as many of you may know, we did a drainage master plan several years ago for the City of Clovis. And when we were working on that drainage master plan, we found about 4 different things that led us to believe that we could get a lot of the floodplain removed from the City of Clovis. And listening to the Board of Realtors earlier, I think that's something that would really make the Board of Realtors happy, because floodplain insurance is one of the factors in making real estate sales kind of difficult. But the 4 issues that we've encountered are number 1, the playa lakes. When the previous models were done FEMA had insisted that the flies had to be modeled 25% full of water. We have since gone to FEMA and asked them to show us in writing where that is a rule, and they relented and said we no longer have to model the system that way. The second thing we found in the drainage master plan was field survey data. So we did a lot of field surveying to verify structure sizes and compared those to the previous model. For example, the bridge on Mabry over the Ingram Channel, we found had a lot more capacity than was previously thought. So a lot of this survey information kind of field-proofed which way the water goes and whether it goes one direction or another, or it may not cause as much flooding as previously thought. The third thing is the city of Clovis, in my opinion, has had a very impressive capital improvement program over the past 6 years. So there's several new projects that are going to make a difference on the floodplain as well. The improvements on Mabry, Will Heights, 7th Street, those projects are going to make a big difference. And then finally, the fourth element, which I'll have Ken address, is some really new innovations and developments in mapping and computer modeling, because most of the flood modeling is done through computer models that are developed by the Corps of Engineers and accepted by FEMA. So, Ken, if you're there, hopefully, you can explain the mapping and modeling that we'll be doing for this.
Oh, I'd be happy to. Can everyone hear me all right?
We can, yes. Thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'd rather be there in person because I really do miss Green Chili. And then back in Houston for a number of months. I need to get back to New Mexico. In terms of modeling, so when we did this, when the original letter of map revision was done for the city in 2011, FEMA used a one-dimensional fluid flow program, and was the rainfall runoff relationships were very conserved, which kind of piqued our interest when we did the drainage master plan. As we move forward through there, there's been a lot of changes and developments at FEMA, as well as the Corps of Engineers computer modeling programs. As Ken said, one of the things that is really the biggest innovation is a two-dimensional fluid flow modeling program, which actually will, and we've already reached out to FEMA, and we're going to be basically creating a model that rains water on the whole city and ETJ, and it will actually trace the water down individual streets. So with this model, we're estimating, and FEMA has already done what they call a base level engineering analysis for Curry and Roosevelt counties, and with this really, let's say, coarse analysis, they've already shown that the floodplain should already be smaller than what was currently mapped. So with us sharpening our pencils and using the survey data that we've got and are collecting, plus the capital improvements you guys have implemented, we should see quite a change in the floodplains. Like I said, we've already reached out to FEMA and told them what our plan is to do this analysis. And, you know, of course they're FEMA, so they wouldn't give us a good straight yes or no answer, but they gave us the sort of yes. They're liking what we're doing, or what we're going to do for the city. So we're looking to map out the city and the ETJ with this new analysis to show where the floodplains actually occur. And it should reflect reality a lot better. For instance, we've been going back and forth with circled trees. I don't know if the commission has noticed that on the floodplain maps they show circled trees spilling out, running down the freeway, down the highway, and just all sorts of mess, and creates, you know, an impact to the community for flood rates. We know that water never runs out of that playa. So we're determined to report reality to FEMA and beat them over the head with it. So, that's our plan. The plan is to run these analysis, run these models, and then submit this information to FEMA through their letter of map revision process. We're hoping that we'll only have to do this once with them, so we're trying to engage them early on so that we won't have to play Bring Me a Rock with that agency. We'll get approval from them after the first, I'm sure they'll have comments for the first go-around, but our plan is to only do it once with them, so you guys can get new rate maps as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you for that information. We have at least one question for you from Commissioner Render.
I do not have a question. Thank you, Mayor. But this project is near and dear to my heart. I was surprised at the last floodplain map, and with that, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Gentlemen, have you successfully had the floodplain adjusted in other communities like ours with this modeling and revision process?
Well, we're using some of our team in Phoenix right now for doing this, and they've just completed map revisions in 15 counties in California with FEMA Region 9. So this tool is going to be excellent for Clovis. It just works so well. Exactly what we're doing here.
Thank you for that. We have a comment or a question from Commissioner Levitt.
I do. Just with the FEMA's basis map that they just came out with, do we have an idea of how many homes and businesses may already be off of the current flood map?
No, sir, we do not. The base level engineering, because Clovis is zoned AE, we can't readopt this base level engineering. We can give you guys as we start moving through it, and also we can give a presentation to the commission and just let you guys know where we're at, and we'll keep Justin informed. But if I recall, it's more than 100, but less than 1,000. How about that?
Well, I like that, and I appreciate that. Anything we can do as a commission to reduce the expenses of our citizens to live in our city, we need to do it, and this is absolutely something I'm for. So thank you for the motions that have already been on.
Yes. So we do have a motion for approval from Commissioner Render, and I believe the second came from Commissioner Garza. We have some input from Mr. Howell.
No, I would just like to say thank you to Ken for getting on this evening. It's always fun to bring other engineers into this game and see how excited other people get, other than myself, when it comes to engineering projects. And for the record, the total cost of the project, including gross receipts, taxes, $355,228.49. Out of that, we did receive capital outlay funding from Representative Crowder. That was combined with our 7th Street project. We have $118,921 from that capital outlay funds that will go towards this project. The remaining funding, the $236,307.49, will come out of Fund 88, our drainage fund. So, thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Howell.
I still move for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Again, the motion for approval was made by Commissioner Render, and the second came from Commissioner Garza. Please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried, and Commissioner Render still moves for approval. Next on the agenda is request for approval of salary increase under City Manager Employment Agreement. Commissioners, you remember about 1 month ago, you approved a salary adjustment and increase of 2% for city employees, and you're well aware that taking that action did not include the city manager, and it is on us per the city manager's employment agreement. It is for the commission to review the city manager's salary once a year. And so very briefly, it's my recommendation that based on Mr. Howald's excellent performance as the city manager and his excellent service to the city, I recommend that we approve a 1.75% increase to his base salary.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Casals and a second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be able to work with each of you as well as work with city administration, all city staff, with the collective goal of making life for our citizens here in Clovis a place that they want to be in, a place that they want to live in, and trying to improve on those. So thank you very much for your action this evening.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the wonderful job you do managing the city. Next, Commissioners, we have made it to reports of boards, officers, and committees. Ms. Melanson, our City Finance Director, is here with the monthly investment reports.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. August, we had a beginning cash balance of $45.1 million, ending cash $45.3 million. Always good to be up, not down. Brief overview: general fund ending cash $3.9 million. Our solid waste fund 2.6 million. Our environmental tax fund 7.6 million. Wastewater fund 5.7 million. These are off. Economic development fund 64, 2.3 million. Our 0.25% for water fund 66, 3.6 million. Our special streets fund 75, 1.3 million. And on the next page, our cash and bank, we're a little over 22 million. And of course, as we had another CD renew, everything for right now is in our state investment pool, 23.2 million. Our interest for the month was a little over 14,000. So our 2-month interest is a little over 38,000. And I'm hoping to see this number go up, but our state pool is at 0.1742%. So I'm hoping it can only go up from there. And our gross receipts information did come in today. This is our first month of the additional gross receipts for HB6 for the internet sales. So that was an additional 35,000. As we discussed earlier last month, this is the month that we were impacted by last year by the influx of the gross receipts from a major retailer here. So sadly to say, we are actually 40% down from this time last year, but that doesn't mean anything because as Mr. Howalt and I have discussed, we are basing everything on budget, and based on our budgeted amounts without the influx of the internet HB6 money, we are 14% above budget for our first 3 months. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. That's great news. And how does, I understand you had the injection from the retailer that had to catch up 12 months ago, but how did the gross receipts compare to 24 months ago?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners.
Yeah.
If you look at it historically, and you take out that month last year, we're actually off over the previous couple of years this month when you look at it and take out that month from last year. So about $200,000, I believe we were up over what was typically coming in before.
Great. Thank you for that. Any questions for Ms. Melanson?
Thank you.
I do. So the cash we have in the bank, are we getting any interest at all on the cash in bank?
A very small amount. Yeah.
So we're continuing discussions with them to see what we might do.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Melanson? Thank you for that report. Appreciate what you do, and thank you for being here tonight and waiting. It's been a long meeting, and don't pack up to leave yet, Commissioners, because we have something else here. Report regarding Ute Water Commission meeting and joint powers agreement. As you know, I represent the city and you on the Ute Water Commission, and I just wanted to update you briefly about the fact that we have a new joint powers agreement, and that was the result of several things that transpired, including Curry County deciding that they wanted to forego and forfeit their reservation of 248 acre feet at the Ute Reservoir. And we reached an agreement with them, and the city took that. And we did that under the previous JPA in the Ute Water Commission. Portales and Melrose did a similar transaction. Portales picked up Melrose's allocation from the reservoir, and many of the other entities didn't like that. They didn't care for that. So the new JPA actually changes how a transfer could work. So if a member entity of the Ute Water Commission wants to forfeit their rights starting now and going forward, that allocation would, I phrase it, go back to the lake and then be distributed pro rata. And that's only in the case of wanting to either withdraw from the Ute Water Commission or let go of all of their water rights. If you just want to transfer water rights among the member entities, that is still allowable. I was pleased with the outcome of that, though, because in my mind, we needed that 240 acre feet from Curry County. We wanted to hang on to that. That was, I thought, in our best interest because that was originally allocated for our area. So that having been done, I think we can live with the new handling. Also, the Joint Powers Agreement reflects the new allocations, and also there was a change to members and voting rights. So the members that no longer have a reservation or are allocated acre feet from the reservoir are still at the table, but they don't have a vote there. And that is because they could be brought back in. For example, a member entity could transfer allocation to an entity that had previously let go of their reservation. And if I've done a bad job of explaining that, I'm happy to answer any questions. But there is a new Joint Powers Agreement that governs the Ute Water Commission. But we are in good shape. We have 12,532 acre feet reserved for Clovis. Yeah. All right. Any other reports of boards, officers, and committees?
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Holwell, do we have any information on the CARES Act funding?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. Mayor Pro Tem, we did have a training on Wednesday. There was lots of questions. There was over 275 participants on the Zoom meeting, and so we are working diligently to understand what is reimbursable. And so as soon as we have our questions answered, we're hoping to get our applications out here pretty quickly.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. We will look now at an announcement of date, time, and place of board and commission meetings.
Future agenda items.
Oh, thank you. I got in a hurry there. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Let's talk about future agenda items. Mr. Howalt or Ms. Burrows, do you have any future agenda items?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. We are hoping to have the MOU between Curry County RSVP and the City of Clovis, the senior programs for the use of the Friendship Center. We have the liability insurance consultant broker services will be coming before you. The Curry Clovis mitigation plan update services agreement, and then taxiway alpha improvements and the revenue review committee recommendations, and a few other board positions, P&Z and the Economic Incentive Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Commissioners, any future agenda items? Okay. All right. Announcement of date, time, and place of board and commission meetings. The Public Works Committee will meet at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, September 23rd here.
Mayor, that's been canceled.
Does anyone know if the Parks and Recreation and Beautification Committee meeting is still on for 5:30 p.m. Monday, September 28th here in the North Annex?
At the moment, it still is, yes.
It is? Great. And then the next meeting of our City Commission will be at 5:15 on Thursday, October 1st, 2020. Our next meeting will be in October. The year 2020 is flying right by, huh? All right, if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Mayor. I lost my precious granddaughter, and it's really meant a lot to me to get that card with all these names on it. Thank you, guys. Y'all really care. This is a family, and we appreciate it. We sure do. Thanks for the turn.
You're very welcome.